Hello, and welcome to Math Matters. I'm Mrs. Smith, and today we are going to explore the arrays that you made from the last lesson. We're also going to think about what do you notice about them? If you didn't get a chance to make those arrays, that's okay. You can make them today as we look at them, or you can make them after today's lesson. Building arrays is going to help us to build our understanding of multiplication and also our fluency with our facts. You will need the following materials today: your bag with the arrays you created, some paper, something to write with, and some scissors. You will only need scissors if you are making the arrays today for the first time. I'll give you a minute to gather those materials. Before we look at our arrays, let's review some vocabulary that we used last time. When we describe our arrays, we talk about how many rows they have. This array has 2 rows. Rows go across left to right. We can also say they go across horizontally. Another way we describe arrays is talking about how many there are in each row, which are also the columns. Columns go up and down and are vertical. This array has 4 columns. Now, hold out your arm and move it to show which way the rows go. You should be moving your arm left and right. Now show me which way columns go. Are you moving your arm up and down? Great job! Okay, let's play a game. You move your arm to match the word I say. Ready? Column. Is your arm moving up and down? Row. I bet your arm is moving left and right. Row. I tried to trick you on that one. Is it still moving left and right? Column. Great job. I think we're ready to move on. Let's review a few other words that we're going to be using today. Factors are the numbers that you multiply together. In this multiplication equation, 3 and 2 are the factors. The answer in a multiplication equation is called the product. So here, 6 is the product. In the last session, I asked you to make arrays for these numbers. We are going to see what they look like and talk about what we are noticing. If you missed the last session, don't worry, you can make them as we go over them now. And just to remind you, after we finish making all of our arrays, we have some games to play with them. For the array for 2, there is only one array. You can look at it like this as one row of 2, which is 1 times 2. Here is the back of the array. We put a 2 in the middle because that is the product, or the answer to 1 times 2. The one on the left side is one of the factors and tells us how many rows there are. You can also turn the array and look at it as 2 rows of 1, which is 2 times 1, and also equals 2. This shows us how 1 times 2 and 2 times 1 are both equal to 2. So when we multiply numbers together, we can change their order and still get the same product or answer. This is a really big idea in mathematics. Does it sound familiar to you? Can we change the order of numbers when we use the other operations like addition, subtraction, and division? That's something that you can think about. Here is the array for 3. If we look at it this way, how can we describe it? There is a sentence frame to help you. This array has rows of Now you give it a try. Say the sentence and fill in the blanks to describe this array. Then say the equation that matches it. So we can say this array has one row of 3, which is 1 times 3 equals 3. Now, let's turn the array and describe it. Use the sentence frame and say the equation that matches it. For this one, we say that this array has 3 rows of 1, which is 3 times 1 equals 3. Here's the array for 5. Use the sentence frame to describe it and say the equation that matches. This array has one row of 5, so 1 times 5 equals 5. Here's what the array looks like when we turn it. Now describe this one using the sentence frame and say the equation that matches. This array has 5 rows of 1, so 5 times 1 equals 5. Okay, here's the last one. Here's the array for 7. Again, practice the vocabulary and use the sentence frame to describe the array. Then say the equation that matches. This array has one row of 7, so 1 times 7 equals 7. And if we turn the array, it looks like this one to the right. Now describe this array using the sentence frame and say the equation. Let's check. This array has 7 rows of 1, so 7 times 1 equals 7. Now let's look at all of the arrays we have. Remember, you only need to have one of each. I have 2 of each on my screen because I wanted you to see them in the different ways. So what do you notice about them? Take a moment to write down or share out your ideas. You may have noticed that all of the arrays have one row or one column, so they all have 1 as a factor. So what can we conclude about multiplying by 1? Let's see if we can add on to what you're thinking. Here are all of the equations we can make from our arrays. Now what do you notice? You may be noticing that when you multiply by 1, the answer is the other factor. Is that true? Does that always work? Well, let's check and see. So a possible rule we're thinking about is that when you multiply by 1, the answer will always be the amount in the group, which is the other factor. So on the left, where we have a group of stars, we have one group of 8 stars, which is 8. So 1 times 8 equals 8. And then if we look at our number line, if we take one jump of 8, that also gets us to 8. So 1 times 8 equals 8. Take a moment to think about the answers to the problems that you see. So if you understand that when you only have one group of something, then the amount in that group will also be the answer or the total that we have. So let's check. So if we have 250 times 1, what does that equal? If I have one group of 250, that I still have 250. Let's go to the next one. If I have 1 times 644, that's one group of 644, so it equals 644. Wow, here's a big number, 9,999 times 1. Well, if I think about how I only have one group of 9,999, then that's my answer. Let's take a moment to reflect on today's learning. Write down your thoughts or share your ideas with someone. When you multiply by 1, why is the answer always the other factor? Today we explored the idea of multiplying by 1. This will help you build a deeper understanding of multiplication and also help you to become fluent with your multiplication facts. And now for your homework. For next time, I want you to create all the array cards that you can for the following products: 4, 6, 12, and 24. A few things to note. In our last session, we made arrays together for 8. So if you did not do that, then go ahead and make arrays for 8 as well. Also, you do not need to create an array for 1 times 24. So next time we come back together, we will check and compare the arrays that you make and explore a strategy to help you build your fact fluency. And remember, we will be playing games with the array cards once they are all created, so as you make new cards, place them in your bag. I'm Mrs. Smith. I hope you have a great day and keep on counting.